Welcome, wonderful people, to Sheroes Reflections. Before we start, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video widely so that we can be able to reach as many people who are interested in content like this. Today's episode, I bring it with deep sadness in my heart, and it is because the news circulating around us is that there's a lady who actually took her life simply because she was on a betting app. She lost her money. She was a business lady and she didn't know where to look. And so she thought, or she felt, her only way out is to leave this earth. And we are really deeply saddened by that. May she rest in peace, and for her family, may they find grace and comfort in these trying times. Having said that, gambling is an issue, and it is something that is really gaining prominence around us. We are having a lot of gambling sites, gambling apps. I didn't even know that particular one called Aviator, but I think there are many. And if you listen to social media content, we are always, some influencers are actually promoting some of these betting sites. We have Betika, we have Lotto, we have all these sorts of betting that is going on around us. And this is something that has come up with the digital revolution. I remember before all these apps, if you needed to gamble, you had to go to the casino. And going to the casino was really, not many women accessed the casino. I remember passing outside the casino with someone who was a bit elderly. I was younger that time. I think I was a little girl. And I asked, so what is this place? And the answer I got is that this is the place where the devil lives. And I didn't understand it, but sometimes when you come across some of this gambling, you may be persuaded to actually believe that in a casino, in a gambling app, probably that is where the devil lives, because nothing good comes out of gambling. Of course, they say there is some kind of gambling that is just for entertainment. But the kind of people who are gambling, I don't think they have the money or the wherewithal to entertain themselves by losing money. Because when you gamble, you can win or you can lose. I don't really think that they have the kind of financial means that can stomach some of these losses. As you can see, the losses are big, they are hurtful, they cut deep to the extent that somebody can actually trade their life for a betting loss. And of course, the other issue, that gambling is an addiction, and there are all sorts of addictions that we can talk about. But I don't want to dwell onto that too much today. I just remember there was a study that was actually carried out, I think it was in Poland or some country in Europe, and they were trying to see what is the opposite of addiction. If somebody is a drunk, if somebody is an alcoholic, what is the opposite of that? If somebody takes drugs, if somebody gambles, what is the opposite of that? How are we going to say you are addicted and now you're not addicted? What exactly is this? And in this particular study, they actually found out that the opposite of addiction is connection. Many people get into addiction because they feel alone. Now, don't get me wrong, whether it is justified or not, many people get into these situations because they feel alone. They feel nobody will understand them. They feel they have been ostracized from society. They feel they're less than society. And for some reason, they get into these addictions. I was watching, I think it was on, I think there's a documentary that is out that's talking about the homelessness in California. I think I got to see this on Ask an Older Man. You can go over to his channel and check him out. And he was talking about homelessness, or the documentary is actually about homelessness in California, in Los Angeles to be exact. And there's also another experiment that was done in Finland, and Finland really was able to deal with their homelessness problem. And how did they do it? They actually gave people homes, obviously. But sometimes we like to judge people and say, you know, they are homeless because they are drug addicts. Now you see where the addiction is coming in, eh? Because they are addicted and they spend their money badly, and that's why the addicts are actually homeless. And so you try to solve the addiction before you solve the homelessness. And I remember coming across a quote where a lady who was working with the homeless was asking this man, so why do you take drugs? And he said, have you ever tried to be outside in winter at night and you have no shelter, no warmth, nothing? And he said, if you don't know that, then please don't come and judge me about taking drugs. I'm not saying you're justified to take drugs, because drugs make everything worse. But unless you really are in that position, you really cannot be able to judge. You cannot really be able to solve somebody's problem unless you understand it. And I think from that particular study, they are able to see that really addiction really is an issue of connection. People feel that they do not connect. They feel that in order to be able to fit, they need to go and shoot up some drugs, they need to go and do something like that. You feel that you don't really belong into society because you don't have as much money for some reason that will make you participate in society. And in trying to make this money, sometimes you may find yourself in gambling. I've even been told that sometimes people go, you're on a gambling app, and you're at a place where you need to make a payment, and you're just trying to gamble and see if you're going to raise enough money to actually be able to meet your needs. So I think maybe if you had more money, then maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't say. But it just saddens me that somebody would actually commit suicide simply because they lost a bet. And not just that, that you would actually commit suicide simply because of financial insecurities, of financial situationships. I don't mean to look down and say that I know it is hard, I know it is terrible, I know without money in this world, really it is very difficult to survive. But I want to believe that there could be another way. That before you decide to, off yourself, either by shooting or whatever way you do it, before you decide to off yourself, maybe we should try and evaluate other options. If you are in debt and they're going to come and sell everything that you own, at least they won't sell you. They'll just sell your house, sell your car, sell everything. They'll leave you and your family, your children intact. They'll take everything, but at least you'll still be there. Because for as long as you're here, you can try again. You can do it again. We live by hope that tomorrow is going to be better. If we all lost hope, then I think there will be no life. And for somebody to actually reach that particular position where they actually feel that the only way out is by suicide, then I think there's something seriously wrong. And the first thing that I want to say is if you're having suicidal thoughts, depression, all these things, they are just diseases just like malaria. There is no shame in mental health issues. You are not less than because you're having suicidal thoughts. You are not less than because you're having mental health challenges. And for this, I appeal to the society. Can we start looking at people differently? Can we start supporting people where they actually need help? Even for us who are left behind, do we know how to look out for somebody who is having suicidal tendencies around ourselves? I don't know all of them, but I know a few. Like number one, when you start finding that somebody is starting to give out everything that they have, you should ask yourself, if they're giving me their car, what are they going to use? If they're giving me something that they use and they have given out everything that they have, then it means that probably they are starting to see that they don't need these things because they're not going to be here longer. If somebody starts talking about it, starts saying that I've been imagining, I've been thinking that if I'm driving on the highway and there's a lorry in front, I've been thinking if I speed, and then I get under the lorry, some of these things we should stop taking them lightly. I'm not saying that everybody who is depressed is going to commit suicide, but one thing for sure is that if you're committing suicide, then you're having a mental health issue and there's help for that. There are doctors who are trained in that, and if you are having these issues or somebody else let us encourage them to actually seek the help that they need. Let us try and reach out. There is a friend of mine who always says, give me my flowers now. Let us try and reach people now. When somebody is telling you, I am struggling, I'm not able to feed my family, let us step in at that point, not at the point when we are going to be contributing for flowers for their funeral. Let us try and meet people when they're still alive. Let us try and support them. And if you need help, please get it. And As far as gambling is concerned, I've not had any billionaire who got to be a billionaire via gambling. You may be thinking that you're doing it and one day you're actually going to make money. Those stories make the news because they are far between. Before you come across 5 people who've actually made a lot of money through betting, they're not many. And for those who actually win these big bets, within 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they have actually lost all their money. Why? Because their financial thermostat, their financial capacity has actually not reached the ability where they can be able to absorb billions of shillings into their life. Somebody is given $1 billion. Well, when I think about $1 billion, really, to me, it really is quite something. It means I can spend 1 million shillings every month for 1,000 months. Now let that sink in. A year has 12 months. So how many years are in 1,000 months? Probably that's my capacity. I get $1 billion and I'm thinking I'm set for life. But somebody else will get $1 billion and say, this is my start. This is what I need to be able to earn more money. So sometimes even when you're looking for this kind of money through betting, are you growing yourself so that you can be able to absorb that money when it comes to you? We have had stories of people coming into money, which depending on perspective is a lot of money to them. And within a week, within 2 weeks, they are actually left poorer than where they actually were before they won those bets. So what I would advise my Sheroes is really, let's stop betting. If you can, which I actually believe you can delete those apps. They are not there by force. You can actually delete them. You have the power, you have the agency to actually hit delete and the app will be deleted. And don't get back onto it if you're there. Of course, the other thing we must say is that gambling is an addiction, and addictions are there because they work on neurotransmitters. Every time you bet and you get a win, it doesn't matter, even if it's 10 shillings, even if it's 1 million shillings, every time you get that win, there is dopamine that is released in your brain. And you have to understand that the reason why this is so addictive is because the more I do it, the more my brain responds and the more I get hooked. If I stop doing it, it will be hard for a few days, a few hours, a few weeks, a few months, a few years, but at the end of it all, my brain will reset and I will no longer derive the same joy from this gambling. So I wind up by saying, please, let's choose life. Let's support life. Let's support each other alive. We need us alive. We are more useful alive than we are dead. If you are having mental health issues, if you are depressed, if you are having suicide, if you feel you're just overwhelmed by life, that you cannot cope, please reach out to a professional, and I insist, a professional. Reach out to somebody so that you can get the help that you need in order for you to see the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, for you to be able to see your next generation. There are other things that are more important than money. That's it for today. See you next time.